get-rich-quick schemes.
Let's admit, you've probably fallen victim to one before.
Well, who hasn't? They're so tempting to try, and who knows, you might get lucky.
But what if getting rich quick was possible?
Maybe not quick, but faster than wandering around without a goal.
What if it could happen by something simple that you do all the time, like literally every day?
Thinking.
Really? There has to be a whole lot more to it than that.
Well, the truth is, it's actually that easy.
What matters the most is how you think.
And this book offers down-to-earth principles to kick your thinking into high gear.
It's time for Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich.
Welcome back. You're listening to Motivation Minute, where we unravel the timeless truths in that stack of books you've been wanting to read so that you don't have to. This week's book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And for this book, we've got Jariah Miller returning, and we have a guest.
Yeah, hey Spencer, how's it going? Good to be back. And yeah, we do have a special guest for this episode. A really good friend of mine who actually I think is probably the most knowledgeable about this book. Or at least a lot more knowledgeable than me or any other guest that we've had on the show. So welcome to the show, David.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, you guys are generous. I've read it a couple times, but I'm by no means an expert on it. It would take years to get to that point. But
yeah, the reason I say that is because I know that you listened to the audiobook like 4 times while you were trucking on the road, and you've also read the book. And right now, as I'm looking here, you have a whole bunch of notes that you wrote with, if I'm not mistaken, a fountain pen.
Yeah. Yep.
So you put a lot
that's
of
professional.
You put a lot of dedication into just writing the notes. How did you hear about the book, and what made you want to read it and everything?
Honestly, I don't remember where I first heard about it, but I remember hearing the name when I was growing up, and I think Dave Ramsey actually mentions it quite a bit, and I've listened to some of his stuff. And once I picked up a copy from a thrift store or something, I started reading it, and just got a couple pages in, and then I had to buy the audiobook because I was driving a lot. And man, the stuff in here is just incredibly deep. It's really a workbook, and it has a bunch of exercises in it, so it's not like you're going to be able to just think certain thoughts and suddenly be rich. There's actually work that goes into it, but it teaches you step by step everything that you need to do to change your thought patterns into a productive state.
So what's really interesting about this book, I thought, was the title. So it's Think and Grow Rich. You think that's easy. It's Think and Grow Rich. It's not that easy after you read the book. It's not just like thinking and money just shows up on trees around you. It's literally the way you think that's super important. And it's not as simple as think harder. It's how do you think over a long term strategically in a really, in-depth sense for the thing you want.
Oh yeah, and there's actual like principles of how to think, or like he talks about principles like faith, desire, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, the power of like the subconscious mind. It came out in 1937 when Napoleon Hill wrote it, and it's actually sold 70 million copies, which is more than Harry Potter,
Staggering.
Which only sold 50 million compared to this. So it's crazy that it's been around that long, and it was like one of the first like self-help, like the power of visualization or how to be successful, whatever books ever. It was way ahead of its time.
And it's still on your top 20 business book lists.
Yep.
Today.
Pretty much everybody's list. Yep. It's very interesting, some of the ideas of how to go from just thinking something to actually, to doing it. And it sounds, it sounds like a scammy or something. It's like, that idea people think of as not true. It's like, you can't just believe something and then it'll happen. But like it turns out, if using
it's the way
correct
you believe.
method. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And this book is like, so we should probably just jump right into the steps of kind of how he outlined how you could do this. First step was you fix your mind on the exact, now he brings up money, but it's the exact amount of money you want. It could be anything really. This principle works for just about anything you would be wanting. So fix your mind on the exact amount you want. Determine what you'll give for it. Set a date for when you want to possess it. And then create a plan and start immediately on that plan. And then you write out all these things that we just said. and read that twice a day.
So it's the idea of being extremely specific on what you want and writing like an extremely clear plan.
Because we aren't specific usually.
Apparently, that's what those successful people did, right? And we think it's just like, oh, well, they just got lucky, Henry Ford or the Wright brothers. But I read a book on the Wright brothers. They had a dream, a plan, like everything, like 10 years or 5 years before they ever built the plane, or they were working on it for. It's not like they just stumble onto something.
It takes an incredible amount of persistence.
Yeah. So that's the idea of having like one major definite purpose or goal. Or what did you learn about that, David?
So chapter 1, the title of the chapter is Desire. So it goes on to describe specifically a burning desire. To achieve anything in life, you have to have a burning desire to achieve it. So the emotion of that desire is what's going to give your thoughts power, right? So your thoughts will travel into your subconscious operating system, so to speak, that dictates how you react to certain things, the things that you think about, how you talk to people, how you handle things that come into your life and opportunities. And you want to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you're able to capitalize on the opportunities that show up at your door and even find and pursue new opportunities that you would not otherwise be able to. So burning desire for your objective is the first step. It's what you have to have. And later in the book, he talks about how to actually program your subconscious. And the basis is you can repeat, it's autosuggestion, the chapter on autosuggestion, which we'll get to. It has to be mixed with emotion. So when you tell yourself something, like you can wake up every day and tell yourself, hey, I'm going to be successful, but it's not gonna affect your subconscious unless it's mixed with emotion, a strong emotion. So
which is the desire, right?
Exactly. So you can use desire. Faith, obviously, is something that also basically there has to be an emotion attached to the message that you're trying to feed your subconscious in order for your subconscious to believe it.
Oh yeah, on the faith theme, it's like envisioning yourself having that thing you're desiring ahead of time, and all the emotions you'll have when you have it, thinking of them ahead of time, so that feeds that auto-suggestion loop that the book talks about.
So yeah, it's the method of how do you have the emotions? How do you develop the faith, right? Because to do anything, I feel like you have to have a lot of like deep emotional desires for something if you're going to achieve something great. Like you have to really want it, or you have to, like they talk in sales about, you have to make them, they have to agitate the problem for the customer and make them really feel the pain of not having it, whatever. So it's just like the principle of having a lot of emotion towards a big goal. Like, I've experienced that. I feel like that's what's driving me in the past to do some things. But I guess, how do you actually get that, David, the emotion or the desire,
Well, you have to start out by wanting something. You have to start out by being in a place where you're like, okay, where I'm at is not good enough, and I want to get to this objective. I want to get to, and you have to actually fix the objective in your mind first. So for an easy one to do is to say, hey, I want to have a net worth of $1 million. So you have to create a burning desire in yourself for that. And then he outlines in the book, you sit and you think about it every night. You read your list of everything that you're going to do to achieve it, what you're going to give in exchange for whatever, and the time you want it by, and then you sit there and you visualize it in your head. What is it? And you visualize what $1 million looks like to you, whether it be investment properties, whatever, and you
what you're going to do with it.
Exactly, what you're going to do with it. You imagine yourself.
You make
use
it
your
you.
imagination. Exactly. And you feel what you expect it to feel like. It's all in your imagination, and then that travels into your subconscious belief system.
And then you use autosuggestion, and that's the kind of the method of autosuggestion, is doing that. Interesting.
Right, chapter 3 is on autosuggestion.
Because it builds a loop that gets you to automatically go back to that emotion you have with the thing and encourage you to keep pursuing it.
Kind of like building a habit, right? Or doing it often enough to where you automatically think of that all the time. And yeah, it said it has to become a thought that fills up enough space in your mind to where you're not thinking about other distractions as much, or the doubts or whatever. You have to develop enough faith, or to where that one desire you have is right there on the top of your mind at all times.
Right. I think the premise of this book is that the subconscious mind manifests your belief systems into your life. So if you subconsciously believe yourself to be basically just poor, you can want to be rich all you want, but if you believe yourself to be a poor person, that's going to manifest all around you. We all know people that believe
trapped.
Exactly. They feel rejected, and so people just reject them, and that's because of their subconscious belief system. It actually attracts what your subconscious holds to you. So if you have fear in your life, a lot of times you'll actually attract what you're afraid of, and it'll happen to you. So somebody can be terrified of cancer. I read this story. This lady was just absolutely terrified of cancer, and she wore sunscreen every single time she went out into the sun, and she always exfoliated her face, whatever, and she ended up at a young age getting skin cancer. And so her son said, screw it, I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna enjoy my life. I'm not gonna worry about it. Whatever happens, happens. And he ended up living to be an old man, never got skin cancer.
Interesting.
So what your subconscious believes is what happens in your life. So the point of this book is to program your subconscious to actually bring the right things into your life.
And that point about programming, see, that's the thing. We're focused on the negative, like you were saying.
Right.
And if we get focused on the positive, that's not the natural thing, because we're able to stay up at night with anxieties, but when do you stay up at night envisioning what you want your life to be like?
Right.
Like, that's not what you usually do. You spend all your time worrying. If you were to take that time and make it positive.
Yeah, that has to be very intentional. And so, yeah, this, what you were just talking about, David, gets into some deep, psychological stuff. And I think we know that, or we've heard of the things with with people who are, who are lonely or whatever, depressed, or believe they're not worth anything. They will actually push friends away or push away opportunities, or they'll actually manifest that in their life, whatever they believe. And that's pretty commonly well known, that you do that. But when it comes to other things in your life, like generating wealth, it's interesting that it's the same principle, just like you were saying, that whatever you believe to be true about yourself or whatever, or reality, is what's going to happen eventually. Like, it's that, and the scary thing is that happens without us even realizing it. Yeah. Whatever we unconsciously believe. So if we unconsciously think that, just let's say rich people are evil, or that money's bad, or it's greedy, or of course I'm never going to be wealthy, or it's too difficult, or whatever. Like, if we just believe that, and it's kind of subconscious, that's what's going to happen to us, or we're not going to get anything. Of course we won't get wealthy. Of course we won't make money if we believe that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems obvious, but it's also so that means that you can control what you achieve by thinking the right things, thinking the positive things, or the intentionally forcing yourself to believe something and create a desire. So it's interesting.
The whole book is eye-opening, because you realize how much you probably, like for myself, I have a ton of goals, but I have no deadline with them, and I'm not serious about making them a reality every day. It's because there's other things that, take priority, and the goals end up going on the back burner. And what this book kind of shows is it's that you have to actually engage with that thought process starting now, whether you think that it's going to make a difference or not. It's the act of, consciously thinking about this goal and making it part of you, making it who you are, that actually brings it into existence, what wasn't there already. So true. It's a powerful tool that I got a lot of work to do on it.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Me too.
I have a lot of work. Like, I've written down goals in the past, and I think if I wouldn't have never written down goals and stuff, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now. But I haven't went back and reviewed them or wrote them down consistently. I've always actually surprised myself, really surprised myself when I go back and look at some of the goals that I've made in the past. And it's like, wow, I totally forgot about the goal, but I actually did a lot of the goals that I wrote down. And I didn't and it felt difficult at the time. Basically, there is something, and for me, it's almost harder to understand, because it's it doesn't necessarily even make logical sense, that writing down goals and can actually change or will make you do something, but it actually works. It's interesting. And if we actually, like we said, if we continually write down goals and say them to ourselves every day, and and the goals might change, but like if we continually wrote them down, and it'd be amazing what we could actually achieve.
Absolutely. Writing down your goals, and he says to put them somewhere where you see them every single day.
Yes.
You read them every single day so that it's constantly at the forefront of your mind, and then it goes into your subconscious mind after a while. And I actually have a personal story in that. So I was pretty deeply in debt, somewhere around $35,000 a couple years ago, just from things coming up that were out of my control. And I was driving truck at the time, so I taped a piece of paper onto my dash with the exact amount that I owed. And every single day I'm driving down the road and I'm looking at that. I can't stop.
You're looking at that number.
And
wow.
I hate it. It's creating this burning desire in me, like he talks about. And
Get
my
rid of it. Right.
focus was, I didn't have a specific date, because in trucking it's kind of unpredictable, right? You might have a really bad month or whatever. But I just had the burning desire, and I had that as my indomitable desire of my heart to be debt-free. I hated it, so I had this strong emotion, and it was constantly at the forefront of my mind. And so every time I'd make a payment, I would cross out the old number and write the new one. And I went, in 2 years, things changed for me, and I was completely debt-free by last spring. So it's incredible how having something on paper in front of you, constantly feeding your burning desire, will actually motivate you. And I can't really explain how it worked, but it just came together in a way that before I was writing down this number that I owed, it seemed like I just never had the money for it. But when it was right there staring me in the face, I was able to prioritize it more.
Huh.
And it absolutely works.
Wow. That's amazing.
I was thinking about a similar thing. I had this note that someone wrote me. There was an encouraging letter at one point, and I think I got it a year ago or something. Well, it ended up in the back of the closet, because I read those things once and then they're gone, because I'm like, well, I don't want to get all, excited about myself or whatever. I just want to keep pushing for what's next. Well, I pulled it out again a couple weeks ago, and I left it on my desk for a while, and I would read it every time I walked by. And it was actually encouraging to read it, because usually you're like, I don't believe this, that someone likes this about me or whatever. But it actually was encouraging to read it again, because it makes it part of you the more you internalize it.
Yeah.
And it makes you like, I want to be like that. Even though, like the note saying you are, it's like, well, I want to agree with what they think I am like.
Yeah.
So it's even more than money. It's like even
Anything.
with how you think about people, about relationships, about things.
Totally. Yeah. Yep. Consistently going over the same information.
Absolutely. I like how you said you internalize it, and that's so true. What you fix your eyes on, you become. And we've all heard that, what you look at, you become. But it's actually so true. When you consistently fix your eyes on something, you internalize it, like Spencer was saying, and it becomes a part of your internal operating system.
Yeah, it's like you actually, in a sense, not brainwash, but in a good way, totally change your thinking to make you think in a totally different way, or to change its mindset. And it's stuff that we hear all the time. Oh, your mindset, but it's true. It's it changes how you think about things, and it makes you believe it's possible. Which is like, if you don't believe it's possible, how are you ever going to do it? Of course, you're never gonna do anything if you don't have something to aim at and believe it's possible, or so you have to have at least some faith and a direction you want to go. And
brainwash is a pretty good word for it, because it's actually like making it who you are against your will. Is how you're doing it.
Because you have to force it, because it doesn't come natural.
Right.
So if you don't do that, you're going to lapse into the negative, like we were talking about earlier, because that's what our default is. But so in a sense, you're brainwashing yourself positively, because otherwise you'll just get brainwashed no matter what. With the negative that
exactly. Otherwise,
who you really are.
You will get brainwashed unconsciously by all the negativity and other people in your life.
Yeah,
right.
All the losers or whatever, they're telling you, oh, you can't do that or whatever. That those are gonna, even without you even wanting that to happen, that will change your mind and cause you, and you think you're not brainwashed, but we all have a mindset that was developed from our life experience and from other people, and so we are actually a product of our environment, and that can change if we're very, very intentional. Otherwise, it's not going to change.
Right, it takes work. And again, back to this premise that what is in your subconscious actually will present itself and will shape the world around you. Your subconscious will shape the world around you. You think about somebody that's always depressed, right? And bad things just happen to them. And you feel bad. You're like, man, this person's just got the worst luck.
Exactly.
Because it's like, man, I don't deal with all that crap. Like, there's so many things that happen to them that's just like terrible. And it doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen to these other positive people around. And then sometimes you see a person that's just incredibly lucky. And if you look at somebody that's just got like good break after good break in life, a lot of times they're incredibly positive. And human nature is to think, well, I'd be positive too if I had all those good things happening to me.
That's the thing you think about.
But
right, we do it out of order.
Which came first? Exactly, chicken or the egg there. So it's actually, if you look at your life, just analyze the people around you, and you'll see the benefits of this, or you'll see the fruits of this actually presenting themselves in other people's lives.
Yep. I've seen in people who struggle with being lonely, and then they somehow manage to push everybody out of their life through different ways. And it's weird how it works. It's like, wait a minute, you need the friends the most, but you're pushing everybody out of your life because you feel like, you feel like you're not good enough. And then the opposite is true. People who just have confidence in themselves, believe in themselves, don't care what people think, they'll generally have the most friends because they have a positive view of themselves and believe they're a good friend or whatever. It's just, and that can be applied to any area of your life.
This is a tremendous book. It's power-packed with so many principles. You'll have to read the full thing, because there's not nearly enough that we can cram into this short episode. But amazing what you can think about when just starting with thinking and how you think that matters so much.
Think and grow rich.
And and we know that one thing you think about every week is, when is the next Motivation Minute podcast coming out? And we just want you to know that you can think harder now, because the harder you think about it, the more likely it is to come out. So
I don't know about that.
Absolutely.
Maybe not quite, but you can tap subscribe and you'll be sure to get it when it comes out every week.
Yeah, and if you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to go to iTunes and leave them a positive review here. These guys are working hard, taking time out of their days to put products out there, put information out there about books that maybe some of you guys wouldn't have the time to read on your own. So go ahead and leave them some positive feedback, and that'll help them put out more content in the future.
Thanks, David.
That would be awesome. Thanks for coming on the show with us. How can people find you?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Well, just on Instagram, my name is David Allen Troyer. Really not out there a whole lot in things like this. Pretty much just kind of under the radar right now. Working on building some business things right now. But yeah, Instagram at David Allen Troyer.
Nice.
Cool. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you guys.